Well, everybody, welcome to Orchard Farm. I'm Mark DuPont, and I'm in company of a very special guest, Mr. Iain Robson. Say hi, Ian.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. So we're going to do a harvest for you today. Those of you who have been following my series on Orchard Farm know that I've been going through a large experiment to see, can you do pigs on seasons? We're going to talk a little bit about that, but mostly it's about us sort of hanging out and having a harvest together. So, Ian, I'm going to jump in the combine. You jump in the landy and follow me. I'll give you a little tour of the map while we go through.
Sure.
Just so that you guys can, so everybody can have a, oops, hang on, wrong vehicle. Hang on. I forget, this one's a left-hand drive, so sometimes it glitches out a little bit on me. And start her up. Put all the flashers on, put all the lights on. Hello, Tommy. Hello, Massey. Hello, Mr. L. Hello, Matthew. Hello, everybody's coming online. Thank you guys so much for joining me. By the way, I don't do live streams, and for some reason, I'm always on other people's live streams, and I'm perfectly fine. But because this is my live stream, I'm kind of freaked out about it. Don't know why.
Oh.
I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know why. I just as soon come right out with that. Oh, hang on a second. Instead of dragging this header the whole way back, let's raise it up. All right, that'll work. All right, so we'll keep the speed down. So there is traffic on this map. This map is Orchard Farm by Dusty Dave. Dusty Dave did a conversion. I think this map first came out as part of Farm Sim 11, and it was converted and reconverted, and it wasn't supposed to come out for Farm Sim 17, but Dusty took it on as a project, and now he is doing the conversion. I'm not sure what the release plan is for this, because Dusty was very busy on his Dusty Cove map for the contest. Congratulations, Dusty. That was a really great map. And then now he's actually carrying forward and working on another map. So I'm not sure what his plan for release of this one is, but I saw this map. He was working on this back in March, and I kind of enjoyed it. Hey, Dusty Dave, come on into TeamSpeak if you like. We can explain things to people if you like. I'll go and have some food, and you can join us whenever. I think I gave you the TeamSpeak information on your Facebook. So turning left, and we go through. The one thing that's kind of cool about this map is just how far away the store is from the farm. It's literally completely the opposite end of town. So every time you need anything, it's a massive haul. Now, I'm going to admit to everybody that I did change the reset point back to the farm because, there are times when you don't want to go back to the store to pick up a plow.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you know that UTB that I was using?
Yeah.
The thing maxes out at 27.
Well, that's plenty of speed.
Yeah. It's like, okay. And I always play at 5 times speed anyway, but it was one of those things that just got a little bit mental.
You'd get back home by the end of the day, wouldn't you?
Pretty much, yeah. When I first started the map, I bought the UTB, and I was going back and forth with bales and food and all sorts of stuff. And my first day was just hauling stuff. And I did that for 2 days, and I went like, okay, reset point has to change. That's fine. So on the right, you see a little campsite. And that's also, I believe down that road is where the BGA is, which I never use. I don't use BGAs for whatever reason. And then we come through here, and if you go straight down this road here and you follow it right down, that's where the animal sell point is. Oh, to the right over here is I think it's a heating plant. It's sort of an old school heating plant. Remember from 15, we had the heating plants and we had different things? It's one of those, I think. Now, as long as I've been on the farm, those of you who've been following the series know that I never had a house, but I've been staying at the bed and breakfast over here on the left, and starting my shows from there. Then we come through town. Oh, by the way, Ian, the rule on this map is if you hit a car, it's $5,000.
Okay.
So I have a rule about respecting traffic, and it's $5,000 when we hit cars.
So you're saying I shouldn't speed past you?
No, don't pass me. Don't. It's a better idea. So, you know what? I think that the reason why I first got interested in this map is the sign on the pub, because that is one of my favorite British beers. Other beers are available. So we come through here. Now this corner over here is a little bit tricky when you come around the churchyard, because the collisions on the front of the traffic sometimes kind of tweaks out in the corner, so watch out for that. And then we have a choice here. We can make a right turn here or a right turn to the next one. We're going to go here because that's the last we have to deal with traffic. So, and do we go through here? So, chat's doing very well. I'm sorry, everybody. Hey, Nadine, how are you doing? That's my sister. And Danny is here, and Robert is here, and everybody's here. That's awesome, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. It makes it good to do this with friends around you. Takes some of the nerves out of it. So we come to this four-way intersection here. If you go to the left, it goes to the main road that we just got off of, but we turn right towards where basically, and straight ahead is the logging area.
I take it you haven't touched the logging yet?
I have, but off camera. I'll explain you that later. If you look at the finances, I am absolutely maxed out on everything. It's just craziness. So on the left over here, what Dusty Dave has done is he's included a contractor's yard, which if you're doing the big arable farming, a place to put your seeders and to put your combines and to store all that stuff so that it's off your main farm and so that you can basically, just keep it out of the main yard. Not to say that there's not a ton of storage in the main yard. Also to the left over here, as we come down to Stone Wall, is the entrance to the main arable farm. That's where you're going to find your silos and, quite frankly, a bunch of storage. So we left that one for Landy Kid and for Rainbow Dave and for VF to use because that was a little too big for my kind of farming, if you know what I mean. So we come through here, down this road here. How are you doing back there? I can't see you in the rear view. Oh, there you are. Okay.
I'm doing all right. Don't worry.
Okay, cool. So we come through here. I'm going to speed up a little bit because I'm feeling brave in the straightaways. Woohoo! 23 kilometers an hour. We're going crazy. Hey, old hippie. Welcome aboard. Josh, how are things in Holland? And then you have, so this is where my area of the farm, I only used a small portion of the map for my own gameplay. But Farmer Klein, you'll be glad to see that I've got your beet field ready to go. I did not do an entire field because I'm not that crazy. Farmer Klein basically threw down the gauntlet and said I should use one of those single row harvesters from the mod contest. Oh, yeah. And I've decided to accept the challenge. So we're going to be doing a painfully long beet harvest for Mr. Klein, for Farmer Klein. This field on the right,
beet harvester?
Yeah, single row. It basically just picks up a single row at a time. It's kind of weird, but
the way it works in real life in smaller farms, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's it. One of my favorite harvesters for potatoes is that Polish tow behind harvester. Mm-hmm. And then you have to pick the potatoes back up off the field with a front loader bucket. And I absolutely love using that one for potatoes. But on this one, the problem with the potatoes is that you need a high horsepower tractor to plant them. Like nothing under a case 1455 is going to be able to plant them. So because all I had was the UTV, I couldn't plant them.
You always hire a contractor, couldn't you?
I could, but for this role play, I had to keep my expenses to an absolute minimum. So just being able to seed beets was my only option. Problem is, I may have painted myself into a corner because I downloaded that mod, and it looks like I need a 100 horsepower tractor to pull it. So we'll see.
Just put drop a turbo on the tractor.
Open up the XML and make her big, right?
Yeah.
So over here on the right, people, you'll see this is the only part of the farm I've been using. So the pig farm, I keep my I'm keeping my food and grains over in the side barn. I don't think I ever did an episode about how I bought myself the Zeal truck and the Zeal pack for transportation. By the way, it's now mid-autumn. I'm actually in the 4th day of autumn because it took a long time for things to ripen. And in the summertime, basically what I was doing is just feeding pigs, and I did do a little bit of logging because I was running out of money. But we'll get all caught up on that. The field on my right over there is my canola field. It's ready to harvest also, but we're not doing that one today. We're going to go down here. We have to go through, I've been calling this Rainbow Dave's farm because, you know, role play. On the original map, you had a bunch of static animals in there, and I took those out because I needed the farm to look deserted, like nobody was using it right now, because we just drive through it. And then we go right turn over here. It's a bit of a rat maze, but, you know, I like that. This is the entrance to the canola field over here on the right, but that's not what we're doing today. What we're doing is we're going to the end of this little beautiful little covered road, and we are going to be harvesting this field way over here. Hello, Simulate. How are you doing, buddy? That was crazy yesterday, man. You say people's names and you have powers beyond your own comprehension, my friend. And there, and I'm going to leave this header over here. Oh, I got to disconnect the PTOs. The funny thing about manual attach is that if you quit out of the game and then you come back in, it automatically attaches the PTOs for you. So if you leave it without the PTO, when you come back in game, it's attached. Oops, let's squeeze this over here. And right about there. Let it go. Beautiful. So I'm going to back up on the other side of you. And you can just pull into the field. And while I'm here, I'm going to check on something quickly. Yep, we're ready to harvest. The textures on this map are sometimes a little weird. So when you see wheat, sometimes it looks like it's withered. And that was kind of freaking me out there for a moment. But anyway. And here we go. And attaching. Nope, I'm not lined up properly. Gonna try that again. Back it up. It's like I'm new. There we go. Beautiful. All right. So I'm going to back away from it. And Ian, you can go into the back corner over there. You can, oops, hang on. Let me just back away further. And you're clear. So you can put that on the other side of the corn harvester. Now I need to attach the PTO drives. Back in I go. And I need to unfold the combine. I think I can turn off the Christmas tree of light shows. Now that we're in the field. Raise that up. So Ian, if you want to detach the Landy,
okay, and
you can drive back, or you can walk back if you like, but you can drive back to the farm and go pick up the truck and the trailer, the grain trailer that's up near the pig barn. And by then I should be ready to offload. So, hello Jesses, hello Tommy. Hey, we got 17 people here. That's awesome, guys. Thank you so much for the support. Glad to have you on. All right. We're going to start with this little nub of a field over here. Now, to GPS or not to GPS? It's a stream, so I'm thinking not to GPS. But let's go hardcore. So, start up the combine. Hang on a second. Back it up. And uh-oh, we got a problem. Hang on a second. All right. Welcome to Seasons Mod and trying to stream. So, in the top right hand of my screen, the thing that I missed and that I should have been paying more attention to is I currently have a wet crop at 8 o'clock in the morning. So, if I could ask Mr. DeltaBravo Productions to put time in 5 times mode. And actually put it up to 120 times speed in game. And let's see if we can get this grass dried out by noon. So we're just going to turn off the engine and wait for time to pass. This is the fail side of the whole Seasons Mod thing, is that sometimes you're all ready to go. Okay, stop time. So what happened there was basically it was morning dew. And in the morning in the fall, the crop is too damp to harvest. So Delta, if you could knock back time back down to, let's say, even if the people on stream see it, that's fine. See, a little bit of advanced planning. I should have noticed that when we were just walking around earlier. Go ahead and put it at 5 times, Delta. Just hit the 8 button, and it should go up to 5. There you go. Perfect. Now, start up the engine. Now we're ready to harvest. And we are off. Slow it down a little bit. There we go. Awesome. Hey, Blackout. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream, buddy. So, of course, we're making straw, which, in another way, I will have to bale before the day is over because my forecast is telling me it's going to rain tomorrow. So somehow late into the night, I need to bale up my straw. It's not going to be on the stream, but I still need to get that done. And back, and off we go again. And we're off. Good. So, Ian, you've just started playing around with the Seasons Mod thingy, eh? So, yep. How are you feeling about it?
Oh, so far so good. It makes sense based on reality, which is kind of nice. So, some of those little things like having a dew on the crop and whatnot makes. If you've been around farming, it kind of makes sense in real life. But if you've been playing Farm Sim or you've been playing with a Seasons Mod, it doesn't always jive together. Sometimes you're like, well, I should be able to do this in real life, but you can't do it in Farm Sim, and sometimes vice versa, sort of thing. So
that's it.
It's kind of an interesting in terms of like those types of little things. So like one of the things that really surprised me about the Seasons Mod that I was that you mentioned the other day was the fact that you can't do like a winter wheat harvest, or you can't do a winter wheat and harvest it in like the midsummer sort of thing. So
yeah,
that made me a bit sad. But
so when you were doing Farm Sim 15 and you were doing multiplayer and all that stuff, were you using things like soil mod and things like that to in game?
Yep. Yeah, you can have it. You could have had it on a server if you'd liked.
Okay. So it's not just a question of, because for me that's the big thing is that on servers, I almost prefer servers without Seasons Mod because servers for me are always just goofing around and playing with friends. But for some reason, like when I'm playing a solo game, I'm always in my sort of farming mode, and I always sort of try to keep it as realistic as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to keep it as simulated as possible. Let's just call it. And for me, that's what Seasons Mod is having to think about what you're doing, adding extra levels of complexity to crop management and things like that. It kind of works out for me.
Yeah, definitely. Like one of the things I really liked about it is the fact that you have to plan for your animals in the winter and whatnot, which makes it really interesting. Because if you have 200 cows and you don't have 200 cows worth of feed, well then some cows are going to die.
Yeah, that's it. But the one thing that Farmer Klein sort of mentioned to me and that I got really curious about was that when things like pigs are not in their peak performance, when they're not producing wool, when they're not reproducing, what if you go down to 5% of feeding? What if you cut their ration, right? To be able to make up for the fact that, they're not bringing you anything. So do you necessarily keep up with them on the feeding side too? So that's sort of something that I really haven't done on this map, because part of the reason for this map is a larger test of pig reproduction and pig production. Yeah. But I think on my next map, I'm going to see if that actually affects their overall performance. But we'll see. I mean, that's the thing, right? With Seasons Mod is that it gives you a whole other thing to try to play with and try to experiment with, and I'm really enjoying that side of it.
Yeah, for sure. Like that definitely adds to the realism or the simulation of the game, if you like. So
that's it.
It's kind of neat. I'll look forward to the time when they actually have the ability to do the whole winter wheat and barley and winter barley and all that jazz. That'll be kind of neat, be able to get a double harvest in if you're planning for that. And if maybe next thing they'll do on the list is crop rotations as well, but that might be a bit overboard.
Well, you know what? Now that they've got optional plowing and they've got the fertilization in the game, the 3 stages of fertilization, things like that have got to be down on the radar for the near future at some point, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That you'll have to go further and further in. And did they have crop rotation with soil mod in 15? Because I never played soil mod.
No, it wasn't a thing.
No,
it was about keeping like your nitrogen, your PK, and all that kind of stuff up. Right. It was like that seemed like the soil conditions, like in terms of what you had to have in the soil, but not necessarily the weather. So there's still, for soil mod people who played it back in the day, there's still a component missing, even with the Seasons mod. But the Seasons mod definitely adds a little. It fills a little void that we used to that was there, I guess, until the Seasons mod.
Yeah. I'm just going to keep going straight through here to straighten out the field. And nope.
Yeah, the pipe is barely long enough, Farmer Client?
It's barely long enough. This combine in game comes with a 14-foot header. And I tend to like to play it with the 25-footer. But there's also, in the Stevie pack, there's also an 18-footer that actually works pretty darn good. So,
yeah, it's pretty close with the unloading, but not impossible, just close.
Yeah, that's it. All right, so I'm going to make the turn. I think I'm going to do 2 headlands. Should give us lots of room to move on the ups and downs.
Yep, sure.
Hey, Henry. Hey, Allard. Welcome to the stream, guys. Thanks for joining us. We got 23 people in the stream. That's awesome. That's absolutely fantastic. Thanks, you guys, for the support. And thank you, Ian, for joining in. I mean, that's really nice.
My pleasure.
Ian and I recorded a little something yesterday that will be coming out this week, I guess, on your channel.
Yep.
It was sort of a broad strokes overview of the Seasons mod.
Yeah.
There's so much to it that we did 40 some odd minutes on it.
Yeah.
And and still didn't cover it all.
No,
so, and it's one of those things where we wanted to keep it to a reasonable size for viewership, but at the same time, it's like, man, we barely touched the surface. And off we go. Eddie Scap, how are you doing, buddy? Eddie's in the house. It's nice. It's all the people that I watch on YouTube are watching me on YouTube. It's kind of weird.
We're watching you.
So you know where you're putting that in that the grain storage barn?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. this is still one of my favorite things to do in farm sim, and you know, because of the limitations of my internet, it's kind of funny to think that I'm watching the stream and I'm getting an outside view, but I'm basically just, you know, you get in first person and you just get into a zone with the harvesting.
Yeah, exactly.
And with the track IR and everything, it's really one of my favorite things. And after all the work and all the plowing and all the seeding and all the fertilizing, and, you know, I've got probably about, almost 150 hours into this map now.
Oh, wow.
That finally I get to harvest some grain. Man, it's a great feeling to accomplish it.
I bet, yeah. And that's only that's one season, I guess?
I went to a 9-day seasons because of the pigs. I wanted to see if I could get the pig reproduction high enough that I could make a profit on 100 pigs. And it sort of worked out, but it didn't work out. So the conversation was, can you reproduce enough pigs to get your initial investment back if you buy pigs first thing in the spring, feed them all the way through a year, and then come out of it at the other end and you have pigs?
Oh, what do they call that? Farrow finishing or something like that?
Something like that, yeah. So basically, the end result of that experiment is that out of 100 pigs, I ended up with 162 pigs. And the price went down. So, so that was kind of a fail. But what I've since discovered is that because of the price fluctuations in seasons, if I were to do it the other way around, where I basically plow my fields, get everything ready, and then when I have all the food and everything in place, I then go and buy pigs. At that point, the pigs are at their minimum price. So you can't do it in a single year. But if you're patient and you wait for year 2 to buy, for the end of year 1 to buy your pigs, and then do it, it works. The math works. So I had long discussions with the guys over at Realismus about it, and they sort of showed me a little bit of the back door and sort of said, okay, this is how we figured it out. And by their rules, my failure is just my failure. They actually showed me that you can do it. But it's kind of interesting because a whole lot of this stuff is being done with the idea in mind that you're going to do this for like 4 or 5 hours, right?
Yeah.
So for 4 or 5 years. So like if you want to get into the tree business, it takes 5 years for you to get fully grown trees, where it used to take 6 days. So it changes the game a lot. Whoa, okay. I should set my cruise control to
stop at 100%.
Yes. See, you can start yammering, and the next thing you know, you're destroying your crop. So let's open that up. Oh, look at that. It timed out perfectly, though. You're back. So while you're offloading that, I'm going to make it stop at 100%. It does look cool, eh, Allard? I like the idea of the external camera crew. And it's a bit of Allard was just saying that it looks super cool, but it's like, because all my videos are basically me sitting in a cab doing farming, this is such a departure from my usual thing. So switching it up, always switching it up.
Definitely.
And almost there. And I'm off to the races. So you do a bunch of other kind of simulators also, don't you? Like you like, I noticed today you uploaded a heavy haul video.
Yep, yeah, on ATS.
So
yeah,
I know a lot of the other YouTubers run into the same problem where their farm sim community is just a farm sim community, and they have a hard time crossing over and coming up with other content that they can do, you know, on their game, to be able to, you know, to carry on with that stuff. Are you finding that too? Like, what's your viewership like on your other?
It's not as
games?
high. Like it's not as high as Farm Sim, but it depends
Right.
on how interesting the game is. Like with ATS, if it's something new and interesting in ATS, people seem to like it. Like when I did the very first video on ATS for Heavy Haul, people were really jazzed about that because they were like, "Whoa, what's this sort of thing? This is cool."
Right. Yeah.
These extra axles, heavy load. You know, you got to customize your truck especially for this kind of scenario. So they're kind of jazzed about that. And the same thing was for ETS when the Heavy Haul came out there. So those videos, the very first couple videos, got a lot of attention. And then as it goes on, it kind of dwindles away, like most things do.
Right.
And then for other games like The Hunter, for example, which I was playing today.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I tried out the ATV DLC, which is pretty neat, actually. So,
is it?
Yeah, I tried that one. I got the Blind DLC too, so I was trying both of those out to see which ones I liked. But they're both good, actually. So yeah, for those kind of videos, like some people like them, some people don't. Like a lot of farmers are into hunting as well, so there's a little bit of crossover there. So I was kind of neat in that regards.
Yeah, but that was sort of one of the reasons that I thought maybe I would do a few hunting videos on this channel too. Is that basically it's just another kind of harvesting, right? So it's if you can go in a forest and harvest trees, you can also go into forest and harvest meat, and drawing from natural resources. So I was thinking about doing something with that also.
Yeah, exactly. Also, this truck uses fuel really quickly.
Does it really?
Yeah.
What are you at?
25 liters. So like, I don't know how big the tank is. Let me check. Where are we here? The tank is 121 liters.
Oh wow, okay. Well, I've been using it all summer to haul feed back and forth to the store. And because I actually bought that once I had all my seeding done on the map, I bought the truck to be able to buy more grain for my animals because I had no crop to feed them. So it's just that's probably what you're seeing is the hours that I've piled on for that. But you have two choices for fuel. You can either go over to Dave's farm, the cattle farm, and he's got a refill point there. But I've also, if you go to my workshop, I have a jerry can in there that's full of gas, so you can fill up with the jerry can.
Does it actually work too?
It does.
Kind of neat.
Yeah.
You're gonna make it just as we get around the corner here.
Exactly. So let me just turn myself around. I'll line myself up to you. Let me just shut that off for a moment here. Pipe out. Is that okay right there?
Yeah, I can get it.
All right, perfect.
You can start rolling if you want to too.
Okay. So cruise control the other way. Put it in back and forward gear. I remember when I first started playing with you on the server, and you first put on the drive control mod.
Yep.
And that's when it first came out with that sort of slow start mod.
Yep,
when they modified it and they put Varigear on it?
Yep.
And how much I hated it back then?
Yep.
And the thing about it is that ever since I got my wheel, it was annoying to me when I was playing keyboard.
Yeah.
But ever since I got my wheel, it was absolutely, it was bang on. And that made the difference.
Yeah, it's nice with that.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting thing that I was so against it when it first started out, but then the moment that I started playing a little bit more realistically, it's like, oh yeah, I get it. Especially on the tractors when you're doing front loader work, because it gives you that finesse on the like the front forks and being able to pick up things and stuff like that. I really enjoy that part of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the nicer aspects of that when you have the Varigear on there. For some of the delicate bale work, it's really nice. Although for the BGA, I'm not a big fan of it with the BGA because you want to zip back and forth and fill up your BGA as fast as possible. But
yeah. So what about Josh in the chat is saying about MR with a more realistic mod?
Yep. And
by the way, Josh, the reason why I haven't played around with MR very much is the fact that I'm basically a mod whore. So and I hear that MR with mods is a little bit more complicated than just plug and play. So have you played around with the more realistic mod? I mean, you've probably seen it when it was in the other in Farm Sim 13, right?
Yeah. You played around with it when it was 13, and It was a lot of fun, actually. It definitely added another element to the game. I didn't play a
Right.
lot with it, to be honest with you, because I didn't think it wasn't really my cup of tea sort of thing. But it definitely added some nice things for some people. Like, it definitely added, like, when when you're pulling like a huge, let's say trailer's worth of like feet or something like that, you'll definitely notice it with more realistic. But you can kind of achieve a similar result with different mods now. So if you use the better fuel usage mod plus the fill type mass mod, I think it's called.
Right.
You can kind of get like a similar idea of more realistic without having to go through all the trouble of adjusting every single vehicle to have it so it works with more realistic sort of things.
Right.
So that's why I probably won't use it very much. So. Also,
sorry, I'm just getting a little lag spike. Okay, good.
Yeah. Apparently, this trailer is a side tip, not a back tip. I discovered.
Yeah, okay. It does all three actually. It
does?
You can pick sides. Yeah. The one of the issues I have with that trailer is that it doesn't actually have a hydraulic ram to it, so you kind of have to simulate having to kind of sort of push the wheat out of the trailer kind of thing. But yeah, it's its own thing. I'm not feeding piggies together today, Nadine. It's just a harvesting show today. If you want to see me feed piggies, you can come on over and I'll show you. My sister, she's always thought I was a bit of a nerd because I'm way into these games.
Okay.
And we're coming in here. Okay. Oh. Did you manage to refill your fuel on that pass?
Not yet. I'm just unloading now.
No. Okay.
It's not quite in the corner as much as I would like.
Over here.
But
yeah.
I think it's
so. Delta, while I'm waiting, do you want to go and take a walk over to the piggies and show them the pig area? I think that watching me sit here is going to be a lot less interesting. So Delta's sort of heading over. He's going to be going through the cow area on Orchard Farm, and it's a nice cow area too. The only thing is the straw fill plane is kind of in an odd place, and I had to look for it for a little while when I was testing. But it's a very functional barn, and the animated cows. He had static cows in there, but the animated cows do go through that area too, and so it's sort of a really nice sort of really open place. So when your mesh is actually in that barn, and that's the backside. The reason why all the gates are open there is that's where I put my respawn point for my reset, was in the back field of the cows, because I knew I wasn't using the cows on this one.
Yeah.
So, and then across the street from the cattle area is where I have my farm. It's a very, very simple farm, as you can tell. It's just 2 buildings, and that's it. You got the pig area, you got the pig feeding area, and then you got the grain storage area where I keep my bales and things like that. So, once again, another farm where I've kept it completely simple. So,
have you tried the keyboard steering mod with the steering wheel yet?
Oh, what? Really? How does that work?
Oh, never mind. You have track IR, so it won't make a difference for you.
Oh, yeah, I know the one you're talking about, the one where it kind of looks in the direction where you're going.
Yeah.
The problem I have with that one is that every time you even touch the S button, it kind of snaps back behind you. And like I couldn't get used to it on the keyboard. And now that I've got the steering wheel, I'm kind of there.
Yeah, with the steering wheel and track IR, you don't need it. But if you don't have track IR, it's a nice kind of like cheaper solution.
That's it. Yeah, the pig yard is really nice, Farmer Klein. It has there's actually a nice pond back there for them, and when I was working this summer, one of my favorite things to do was, because I was basically just feeding the animals and keeping them going. One of my favorite things to do was at sunset, I'd go and hang out in the pig yard, because they all go to sleep at night, and it looks like they're being shot one at a time. It's hilarious. And you're back. You still got some grain in there.
I noticed. Apparently it all didn't tip out there when I tipped.
Apparently not. So I wanted to ask you, are you okay to hang on for a little bit longer, or do you have something to do? You have a schedule thing?
No, I'm good.
Okay, we're about an hour and 15 minutes into it right now, and it looks like we're about halfway through this field. So anytime you feel you need to go, you let me know.
Okay.
All right.
Allard's asking, did you make this map?
I did not make this map. The map belongs, and I don't know who originally created the map, but it was converted for Farm Sim 17 by Dusty Dave. You may know Dusty Dave from such maps as Dusty Cove. In Farm Sim 15, Dusty Dave did Ventanowin, which was an absolutely amazing map, and there are rumors that he is restarting work on that. Ventanowin kind of suffered from bad release date syndrome. Ah, there's Dusty Dave. So the FS UK admins made this map originally.
Oh, okay. I thought it was NA modding for some reason. I don't know why, but
yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, I know that everybody was kind of involved with NI, and there was also I thought it was somehow related to who are the other ones, Mappers Paradise or whatever, but I'm not entirely sure. I got the map from Dusty Dave. He did the conversion. He sort of cleaned it up, and then he handed it out to a bunch of us on Landy Kids TeamSpeak to say, okay, guys, have at it, break it. So we've been making notes and sort of telling him sort of what we've found along the way, and gradually getting the map in really good shape. Dave, what are your plans for releasing of this map? Do you have any plans for releasing of this map? Because I know you're moving straight from Dusty Cove onto your Ventanowin project, and you had a whole bunch of maps going there for a while. I've lost track. This is a pretty good pace between... okay. Rainbow Dave has the fixed version on his server. Okay, so it's out there. If it's on Rainbow Dave's server, then it's available. Can people download it generally, or are you just sharing it internally still? It's a nice pace with this combine and this truck. It's kind of, 2 full loads and you're off kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not so bad, actually.
All right, so there you go, people. So, and I'm assuming it's going to go back to FS UK for release, since they were the original creators. So, will be updated on the mod hub soon. Okay. Ah, okay. So you've been doing what I've been doing, which is patching and continuing the game. So Rainbow Dave was just saying that he fixed the version, he fixed his version and put it up on the server. So that's sort of how we function sometimes. It's okay. If there is issues with the maps, just crack it open in GE, fix it, continue playing, and then eventually the update comes out. It's not entirely up to the map maker to do all the work on some of the stuff. It's just make it work.
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever thought about making your own map at all?
You know what? I have one that's working right now.
A Quebec map, maybe?
No, actually, my map is based on a small farm near Madoc, Ontario.
Madoc? I know where that is.
It's just north of Belleville.
Yeah.
I have a very good friend, Marnie, who has a farm down there. It's just it's a hobby farm for her. She uses it she rents out the fields for cattle and hay and stuff like that. But it has absolutely amazing rolling hills to it, and little water ponds and old barns and stuff like that. So I'm working on it, but I'm not saying it's ever going to be finished. It's just when I have an idea, that's where I put it.
It makes sense. Making a map's a lot of work. Yeah. I get asked from time to time saying, Ian, are you going to make a map? I'm like, I could start, but I don't know if I'd ever finish.
No, that's it. Well, basically what I did is I put in the sell point and the vehicle buy point, and then I put in a farm, and there's like the Trans-Canada Highway goes in front of her farm and goes all the way to Madoc. Yep. So I've got that and one road that goes into the dealership, and that's it. Now I'm just playing around with the fields, getting all the hedges right. She has an old apple orchard in the back of her farm, and I'm sort of looking forward. My ears always get tweaked when I hear somebody's coming up with another orchard mod. So maybe one day. But I doubt, like, at the pace that I'm working on it, there's no way it's going to be done before Farming Simulator 19 comes out.
Early release of FS19. You guys heard it here.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Not going to happen. So what do you think about the Platinum thing?
I think the Sugar Canes is neat, but I'm not super jazzed about it. But I was more jazzed about the Big Bud DLC just because that's the kind of style I like to play it a bit more.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to accommodate a lot of people who are looking for something a bit different. Like, we had the Big Bud DLC, which is still more of the same, but just bigger. And now the Platinum DLC is going to be more but different, so that's the nice kind of change there. So with sugar canes as a new crop type, new manufacturers as well is going to be nice. So you're going to have some things like Bison, I think, Stala, I think is another one.
No, that's it.
So it's going to be interesting to have some of those brands, those smaller tractors that you may like on some of these smaller farms, actually.
Hey VF, welcome to the stream. VF was the first person that I was a moderator for. He started this whole mess. That's his fault. Blame VF. Hashtag blame VF. But for me, the most exciting part of that whole thing is probably the fact that there's so many new assets in terms of buildings and machinery and stuff like that coming in with it.
Yeah.
It basically gives you the ability to take because I looked at the sugarcane harvester, and I sort of felt like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Now we're only steps away from being able to build a proper cotton harvester.
Yep, I thought the same thing.
Because the structure is there, right? And if you were to modify, say, a corn header or something like that, and just go in and just take it to the next step, like, people are finally going to be able to do proper harvests on so many other crops, and the tree assets and the building assets and all of the other stuff that they're bringing into the game. I think that's the really interesting part.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was the thing with even Sovnotska, right? I mean, Sovnotska brought in a whole bunch of new buildings, and how many times have we seen those grain silos and so on and so forth? I've never played the map itself, but I know all the buildings off by heart.
Yeah, there you go. Also, they brought in the trees to the seasons mod, I guess, too, right?
That's right, yeah, because finally it was more than just pine trees and all that stuff. So, the diversity of trees in the Russian landscape made it a whole lot easier for Seasons Mod to build in all of their textures and all that stuff. So every time they put out something, it advances the game a little bit, and they add in a few more little bits and bobs, and it makes the game better. So
indeed,
will I ever play the Platinum? I don't know. Will I get it? Well, absolutely. Why wouldn't I? I was hanging out online. I think it was with Old Guy Farmer, and we were going through the brands that they're bringing out, though. And the Case 8880 harvester for the sugarcane is one thing, but there's a whole other brand that they bring out. I think it's called Stera or something like that. Yeah. That has like seeders and sprayers, and they have these amazing spraying wagons that, I mean, if those things come into play, it's just going to be amazing. So now that they've got the brand and they've got the license, it opens the door for a whole new crop of basically farming implements.
Yeah, indeed. The wheat's looking good, by the way.
The which one?
The wheat is looking good, by the way. No,
yeah, it is. Are you doing fungus to get back to the farm?
Yeah, well, they're doing quick tests,
Okay. Just taking some samples, bringing them back to
checking the moisture. You gotta make sure it's good.
Yeah. Now, what's your relation to farming? You have your wife's in-law. Yeah, your wife's parents. Okay.
Yeah, they're farmers.
And what do they farm?
Potatoes primarily, actually.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
They do. They sell potatoes to the local area, basically. So, like, there's a few restaurants they sell to, and they do the farmers market as well, and they do a lot of that kind of stuff, actually. So, and they have their own market garden as well. So they do like beets and lettuce and radishes and all that kind of jazz as well.
VF, if you go on to the press release for the release of Platinum and read through to the bottom of it, it gives you all of the brands that they're including in The DLC, I guess we're calling it, or what do they call it when they do sort of a mid-season thing?
Platinum Edition.
Yes, but is it called the DLC when they do another map and add a bunch of stuff?
No.
Okay.
I don't think
There
they call it.
Yeah.
I don't think they call it.
Stara and Bison and Gesner. So, this is the thing about Farm Sim is that, I mean, licensing is half the battle, right? Once you've got the licensing, then, adding more machinery. But they said somewhere on there that, like, the number of tools available in Farm Sim now is, like, well over, I think it's 120,000 or something? Or 120 tools available. So anything that adds more is more. Is it getting cloudy in here, or is it just me?
It's getting cloudy.
But no rain, right? So let's just light this situation up. I think I'm going to turn off my backlight so I don't blind you. And I'm going to get back on my course, and we're there. Good.
You mean you can't drive through that tree?
No. But you'll notice around the bottom of the tree that I did plow through that tree. There was a couple of little spots in the fields that had, like, grass texture still on them.
Yeah.
Obviously from painting on the fields. So every now and then I had to hit the Y button to get through those. And then I would forget to turn the Y button off and just go plowing around. Ah, there you go.
Expansion's a good word, I guess they're saying.
Yeah. And you're full again.
Ooh, the interior of this truck's kind of neat. A little fancy for this truck, maybe.
Yeah.
The lights on. The dashboard actually lights up.
Oh yeah, and yeah. I do love driving that thing in first person. Few things that I'm going to do to that truck. One of them is stick my logo on the door of it. The other one is I'm going to change the engine sounds because I kind of feel like it needs to kind of sputter and choke a bit more, being an old Russian piece of equipment. But that may just be my own ignorance about what old Russian equipment looks like. The one thing that I really love is the sounds of that Mack truck mod. I love the diesel sounds of that truck, so that may be ported over in a private mod. The other thing it needs is a rear attacher on it. It needs to have me be able to buy to haul trailers and hay trailers and stuff like that. So, what's going on here? I am getting some lag. Will it create lag in multiplayer if there's a pile being created?
I'm not sure.
Because I'm wondering if you dumping creates lag. Because every time you're over at the farm creating a pile, it seems to do it to me, which is kind of weird.
It might just be because it's loading another area, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Well, I think I'm going to have enough hay for my pigs out of this field.
Bro?
I'm thinking there's going to be tons.
I'm assuming you mean straw, not hay, right?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so Rainbow Day says, yeah, tip anywhere piles equals lag and can crash servers. Okay. So if I'm dumping into the sheds, then that's creating new objects, and that's going to create some problems. Big piles like the old Beat Mountain. Yeah, I remember your Beat Mountain, Dave. I replicated the Beat Mountain on Sandy Bay, but in single player, so it didn't cause me problems. Dusty Dave causes lag and server crashes. We're not going to blame you, Dave. We're going to blame Giants. Yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Giants fix your things.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like I only joined this game back in 15, and I've seen the progression. About,
from 15 to 17, you'll definitely notice it.
And then I watched Landy, and I watched Chris the Irish Gamer, and I watched like a bunch of people pull out the old 2009 version of things.
Oh, that's
it's like, oh my god, like this game has come miles and miles and miles.
Yeah, it definitely has. Even from 13 to 15, you'll notice a huge difference too.
Yeah. A lot of people are talking about the whole cattle and crops thing and what's coming down the pipe for that one. My personal view has always been I'm sort of a wait and see kind of guy. Like, let's see what they actually make of it, because the way it stands right now, it's not even worth making a judgment. But how do you feel about that whole thing?
I'll believe it when I see it, sort of thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's been a lot of talk of whether it's even going to be made or not, and all that jazz. So when it comes out, that'll be one thing. But
because we've seen stuff like this before, where there's much development and much technical output, and a lot of little videos on YouTube, and then it kind of all fizzles away and disappears,
yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to name names, but in the last 2 years, I've been aware of a few. So you have, that's sort of the side of it that I sort of hesitate to commit to it. They got my money. I'm okay with that. Go in and enjoy yourselves. But oh yes, you need a pipe if you're going to do your job, don't you? There you go. 97.99, and yes, we made it. So yeah, so I took a look at the tech thing, and I sort of took a look at the update of the tech thing. But I didn't play it through. I'm sort of keeping an arm's length of it and sort of seeing how it comes along. I do nothing but hope them the very best, but it's not really something that I'm going to throw myself into.
Yeah, exactly. But there's lots of games out there that kind of try to contend with Farm Sim. Like there's Farm Expert and there's Agricultural Simulator, a couple of the older ones from the UIG that just never quite, hit the bar right, sort of thing. But there has some interesting aspects to it. Like one of the big things, I think it's historical farming simulator. I think it's called historical simulator or something like that. I forget what it's called now. Historical agriculture simulator that had like the ground would actually, as you drove over the ground multiple times, you'd make ruts and stuff like that. So kind of like Spin Tires does a little bit.
Right.
But that was in like a farming type game, which is kind of interesting. But the actual farming was pretty terrible. So.
Right. Well, that's the thing, right? And I mean, the other thing too is, I mean, this is such a micro market and such a small little group of people who actually do this. Is it really a good business plan to strictly focus on the simulator crowd? Like,
like full on simulator? Like, yeah, that's what the mods are for, though. Like, because they're putting it on the consoles, that's why they're kind of adjusting it. They're making it, partially simulator, partially arcadey. But you can really, with the extra mods you can get on the PC version at the very least, you definitely have lots of opportunities to make it as simulator as you like, or even go your own route and make your own mods for farming sim sort of thing. So
well, that's it, yeah, and that's the thing about farming sim that I really enjoy, sort of the scope that they have, and always when I hear people talking about the cattle and crops game, it's about how much more realistic it is and how much more simulator it is. But can you really sustain a business just satisfying the simulator market?
Definitely you can, because you have like games like Flight Sim, right? Which is like very simulator-esque.
But do you think Flight Sim and Farm Sim are like even remotely in terms of audience would be the same kind of numbers?
Probably not. I don't know. Maybe. I've seen lots of people drop a lot of money into peripherals when it comes to Flight Sim, but I'm not sure about in terms of the numbers in general. But like Farm Sim, for example, is a pretty big game internationally. Not necessarily in North America, but internationally, it's a pretty big game. Like you look at Germany, you look at Denmark, you look at North America, and you combine all those markets together, and sometimes numbers are higher than some other games. So like when Farm Sim 17 came out, it sold internationally very well.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just North America, but if you were comparing like what was that game called, Call of Duty, and some of the sales in Call of Duty versus some of the sales in Farm Sim, like internationally, Farm Sim did pretty well in comparison to it.
Right.
So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's kind of bizarre when you make those kind of comparisons, but you realize that there's a bigger market than you realize for it.
Yeah.
But again, Farm Sim's not just simulator; it's got a little bit of both, right?
And that's the thing is, I mean, like, I figure like in my own mind, I always figure that from all of the farming that I watch on YouTube and all of the people that I know who are playing the game, like I figure that the simulator market is maybe about 5 to 10% of the audience. Most people just sit down at their consoles and just plow into it, right? I mean, they just want to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. The simulator aspect and things like the seasons mods and all the hard stuff, I kind of feel like that's a very small minority, and I don't know. That's where my hesitation is with cattle and crops, is that they may be hitting a micro market of a micro market, and that's sort of the part that's kind of iffy. But again, it's like, bring it, man. If you guys want to build something like that for me, and knock yourself out, I'll be there.
Well, that's why they went through the Kickstarter, right? Because like then, if people are willing to put the money down on it and actually put money towards getting that simulator game they really want, then why not, right? So
exactly. No, it'll be interesting, and I mean, and how it affects what Giants does for their game. And my curiosity is like, the mod competition last year, the Ultima won. This year, Seasons won. Well, this year the Crone DLC or the Coon DLC had the wrapping bale combo thing.
Yep.
So now Farm Sim 19, what are they going to do in terms of seasons? They've already incorporated fertilization and plowing. How far do they want to go with that stuff, right? So
that'll be definitely interesting.
It's like curiosity to see, okay, so if everybody's feeding off of everybody, and the mod community in this game is absolutely amazing in terms of the amount of creativity that's in there, if Giants is paying attention, and I seriously think they are, then what comes next might be extremely exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
But for now, it's just a nice little game where we get to drive through fields and harvest stuff.
Apparently it's breaking news, Crone DLC, you heard it here.
Yeah, right. I'm all about starting rumors, man. Kubota DLC, look out for it.
Yeah, I've heard people say Kubota DLC. I've heard people say the Class DLC. That's the last DLC. But apparently now we have the Platinum Edition, which probably will be pretty close to the last one, I guess.
Yeah.
Because when do they do new releases usually? In September, November, somewhere in that? So it's the Platinum DLC looks interesting.
Yeah,
I'm not super excited about it right now, but I'm sure it'll add a whole new interesting level to it. Like in terms of real life farming, South America has a huge influence in farming. So
that's
at least in commodity prices.
Yeah, and I mean, and I think that the other thing too is if they can incorporate things like cattle farming, because that's the thing about South America, right? If you could have a cattle ranch in Argentina with the right assets in terms of buildings and all that stuff, they have opportunities there to bring all sorts of wonderful things into the game, to expand it with animal types, with fruit types, with all sorts of things. So, I'd love to be a what do they call them? The ponchos, or the what do you call the guys in the Andes who raise cattle?
No idea.
Like the Argentinian cowboys. I forget now. It's not important. Somebody in chat will know. But yeah, there's stuff like that. And who knows? Farmer Klein was mentioning earlier that there was a motorcycle in the picture of the South American thing. So maybe you can herd cattle on the back of an off-road motorcycle.
Yeah, you never know.
Wouldn't that be awesome if they built up the AI for the cattle so that they come in to be milked, and they go out and they get herded in and put into a trailer to be sold at market?
Could be interesting.
There's a million things they could do. So
for sure.
I think your truck is taking a bit of a beating on the mud, on the dirt mod there.
Yeah, it seems to be, eh?
All right, guys, we're coming up to the end of the last row. We've been on for an hour and 40 minutes. It's been an absolute riot. It's been absolutely awesome having Iain in here with me to do this harvest. Thank you so much, Iain. I'm a huge fan of yours, and you were one of the first servers that I played on, and I never missed one of your episodes. You taught me how to use Courseplay. You taught me how to use a bunch of mods. So it was an absolute joy having you on for this little chit-chat. We're going to finish this here, and I'm empty, and close the header. So thank you all for joining me. Coming up on future episodes, we have a canola field, we have a cornfield, and we have Farmer Klein's special, super crazy single row beet harvesting coming up. So that'll be a lot of fun. Thank you again, Iain. Thank you also to DeltaBravo Productions. Check out DeltaBravo Production. Iain and DeltaBravo are both in the description of this video. Please go and check them out. Sub, like, do all that stuff. Also in the description is Dusty Dave, the creator of the map. Please support Dusty Dave and go and see him and say hi and all that stuff. So that'll be it for today. Thank you guys so much, and have a great, great afternoon.